All right, thank you. So now let's see. We have seen nesting of elements. We have seen block and inline elements. Okay, how block and inline elements are different, and how the block creates always an element that starts in a new line, and the inline element like span is it does not start in a new line. It will start from wherever it is being added. And then we looked into headings, and headings are starting from h1 all the way to h6. There were six heading tags that we saw. And then we moved into paragraphs. We understood what is a paragraph, and that is a p tag. Then comments, line break, and horizontal rule we saw, which adds a horizontal rule like this, where we saw this is a horizontal line that will be drawn because of the hr rule or hr tag. And then the style attribute, where we looked into how the style attribute works. And in that example we saw how the style attribute, we can change the background of a element like the way we have done here. What we have done, style is an attribute. Okay, then there is a value associated with it. This is a attribute, and the value associated with it. Name is color, attribute name, and then the value is purple. So that is the reason you're able to see h2 tag with this styling. And then we also looked into what is known as style element as well. One is style attribute, another is a style element, where style element is always added in the head tag. We saw this style open tag and style close tag, and this is what the style element is. Then we learned about div. Okay, so div is what? Div is a basically a generic container of a html tag. So what is the importance of div? Like the way we have paragraph, right? Div is also of a similar in nature. Okay, even like for example, if I go to, let's say I'll try to remove this. I'll just add exclamation sign followed by the tab key, which will create a boilerplate. And here I will add a div tag. So here I can say hello world, which is same as like your paragraph. I can go ahead and see this is a hello world that is being printed. Okay. So that is because of div tag. And div tag can also contain multiple tags like p tag. Usually the arrangement would be like that. It is a self-contained generic container, and the container is for any enclosed tag, or it can even any enclosed text content, or it can also contain other tags like p tag and other details. So what it means is, as you know, we have seen, that's a just a second. So with that being said, it's a generic container for a flow of contents. All right. And then one important element of this div tag is it will only be used when known semantic elements are needed, which means there are certain set of semantic elements. What are these semantic elements? We'll come to that in a while, but now just understand semantic element. Just by looking at the name of the tag itself, you can able to say what that element is. Like for example, header, as the name itself suggests, this is a header tag. Okay, and then there is also something called as footer. Footer is a semantic tag, because by just looking at the tag name itself, you will be able to understand that it is related to the footer which appears at the bottom of these websites. Okay, if you see at the bottom of the website, these are called footers. Okay, this is a footer. So that the tag name itself talk about what that tag does. Those kind of tags are called semantic tags, whereas div is a non-semantic tag. It's not a semantic tag. That is the reason what is being said here. Div element should be used only when no other semantic tag is appropriate. That is the usage of the div tag. So usually what I suggest is, whenever you feel what kind of a tag need to be used and that need to be added as a container, then I suggest usage of div is a very popular HTML tag that is used very often in a HTML markup language. Okay. All right, next span tag we saw, and now there is another important tag that is called as anchor tag. Okay, as the name itself, I know we have seen this already, but I'll just recapitulate what it is. Okay, now let's say I have a email address. Okay, let's say mm, get the latest. Let's say not this one. Let's say I have added a paragraph tag. Okay, paragraph tag. Now I'm adding the enclosed content, that is get the latest Python download from here. Okay. This is a simple p tag that I have added, which is a paragraph tag. If I go ahead and see the output, it looks something like this. What is that? Get the latest Python download from here. Okay. Now I want a link to go to python.org. Okay, let's say if this is a python.org where I want to download the latest Python language. Okay, now in this context, what I want to show you here is whenever you click on a certain content, and that content will route you to externally to a certain website, that is where these hyperlinks are coming into picture. So the HTML links are called hyperlinks, and these hyperlinks, okay, that is a digital reference to the data between the two websites or two individual elements. That is what we call it as hyperlinks. And these hyperlinks are created by using a tag called a tag. A tag is for anchor. Okay, A stands for anchor tag, and that is the tag in HTML used to create a hyperlink. Now, in this example, let's go ahead and create for text here. Now, get the latest Python download from here. Let's say I want to create an anchor tag. Now, anchor tag, mind you, is an inline element. It is not a block element. So I can go ahead and put that anchor tag within a p tag. Let's say I have added a tag. Now, as you can see here, this is an anchor tag, open tag, and this is a close tag. Okay. Now in between, I can go ahead and put this text here. Okay. Now what will happen if you observe the href? Href is an attribute, and this is a compulsory attribute for a hyperlink. That is an anchor tag. Here I am going to give the external website address, which is python.org. Okay, I'll go ahead and add it. So what I have added, this is a p tag, okay, which is open here and close here, and here is the enclosed content within the p tag from here to here. Inside the p tag itself, I have added what is known as anchor tag for creating a hyperlink. Okay, so this hyperlink, whenever I click here, it will take me to this particular website. Now let me save it, and if I go ahead and see the output right here, okay, what you can see here is you will be able to see here being underlined and has changed the color to blue. That is the default setting for a hyperlink. So what it does is whenever a hyperlink is created, it is highlighted and it will be underlined. Okay, and if I hover the cursor over it, it will change to pointer. That is the default setting of the HTML hyperlinks, which is representing by anchor tags. The moment I click on this, now whenever I hover the mouse over this, if you can see right at the bottom left corner of the screen, there is http://www.python.org. That is the link, or that is the URL, that is uniform resource locator, that it is going to go. ಸೊ ಅದು ಏನಾಗ್ತದ್ರಿ, ಈಗ ನಾ ಇದನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿನ ತಿಳ್ಕೊರಿ. ದ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಐ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಇಟ್, So if you see, it will take me to python.org. Okay, so that is the purpose of these hyperlinks. So the hyperlinks can be used to link to resources or the elements or the two contents within the website or outside the website. This example talks about outside the website, which is I am in my local environment, but by clicking this, I am being taken to python.org. I am being taken to python.org, which is altogether a external reference. Okay. Now, at the same time, I want to show you one interesting thing here is there is also another attribute here that anchor tag has got, that is called as target. So the target has got blank. Target underscore blank is the value. What it does is, if you observe here, the moment if I have given this now, okay, target underscore blank is the attribute, another attribute like a href. Anchor tag also has got an attribute called target, and whenever the target attribute is underscore blank, the value is underscore blank, what will happen is by clicking on the hyperlink, it will open that link in a new window. Okay, so what happens, my page is right here, but it is getting opened in a new window. That is the purpose of target is equal to underscore blank does. By clicking over it, it will take me to the new window, whereas the original page still remains there. But if I don't add this, if I don't add target is equal to blank, what will happen? The moment I click here, it will open the link in the same window. Idarthatre, are you able to understand this, guys? The difference here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now let's go to the another important tag. Again, there are many attributes here. You can go ahead and refer to the html notes. You'll be able to see underscore blank. There is also an attribute called title, and if you want to download a certain link, there is also an attribute called download, where I can give the download link. And then there is a hreflang, which is referring to a language or a human language that is linked to that URL. And if you see some examples here, just I'll give you some example in the notes here. So here you have a p tag, and then there is a unordered list and there is a list item. Okay, and so far we haven't seen what the list and unordered list, but for now just understand that it will create a bullet points. All right, now there is an unordered list and there is a list item. Inside that we have added a anchor tag. An anchor tag has got a href, which is an attribute, and here there is a website link that is given, skillsjam.com, and target is equal to underscore blank, where it is going to open in a new tab or a window. And the hyperlink here is a website. That is what you're going to see. The moment you click on this website, it will going to take me to skillsam.com. Okay, and there is also a anchor tag that we can use to mail, like for example mail to, like you have https, which is for hypertext transfer, hypertext protocol secured. In this transfer protocol secured, in the same way there is a protocol that we have is mail to, and here what is that, it will mail to info@skillsam.com. Whenever there is this email being clicked, what happens is, if you see the output says email. Why this email is there? Email is there because of this. Okay, this hyperlink that is created. So what happens, the moment I click on this, it will open a default mail client, and in that you will be adding this email directly to address directly, the email will be added. In the same way, there is also tell colon, then you write the telephone number, it will be for phone number, but the moment I click on this, it will open like make a call directly. Okay, because this is a hyperlink that is already being created. Okay, understood, guys, how this usage can help you on adding these hyperlinks or the anchor tag on your website. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now with that being said, let's go ahead and understand the next thing. What we have is a script tag. Now in Python, right, I mean in HTML, There is also a way that we can add certain scripts in the sense, essentially it is related to JavaScript. If you want to add a JavaScript code to HTML document, you can do that using a script tag. Okay, like for example, HTML is used to embed executable data, that is typically a JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript code can be added. So it has a opening tag. Script can also have a closing tag. So now let's say I want to go ahead in this file. Let's say I will create a new file. Here in the head tag, I'm going to add a script tag, and script tag, let's say here I'm going to add what is known as a simple a JavaScript. Okay, now maybe let's say uh, document.write, document document.write, and here I'll say hello world from JS, which is JavaScript. Okay, just simple. And now if I go ahead and open this, so what is happening here? Hello world from JS is getting printed onto your screen. So how is that happening? It is happening because of the script. Mind you, one important thing here you need to know that the body tag of HTML does not contain a single HTML tag. Okay, so what we had said during the earlier sessions of our discussion, that whatever we put in the body of the tag will be shown onto the web browser. That is what we said. But now, because of the introduction of JavaScript, without doing anything in the body of the tag, you are still be able to put the output on to the browser, and that is being possible because of JavaScript, in particularly because of the DOM is for document object model, and we'll come to that later. But for now, understand that it is because of this document.write where I am putting this output called hello world from JS. That is the reason you are able to see this output on the web browser. And the learning takeaway in this discussion is usage of the script tag. Script tag is used to embed a scripting language like JavaScript inside the HTML document. And again, understand that script can be added at the inside the head, or it can also be added inside the body of the HTML. Both are fine. Okay, but there is a difference to that. We'll come to know what is the difference when we discuss about JavaScript. Okay, there is a difference. What will happen if you add it in the body, and how is it different from it is a script being added in the head tag? There is a difference. We'll discuss that. But for now, just understand that script tag can be added inside the body of the HTML, body tag of the HTML, or it can also be added inside the head tag of the HTML. Both are fine. Okay, we have added in the both. It is throwing both the sides. Okay, uh, uh, hello world from JavaScript. Let's say it is head. Let's say this is body. We'll see. If you see here, this is coming from the head and this is coming from the body. All right. Now, so any questions, guys, so far in the understanding of script tag?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Now, script also has got certain attributes like SRC. SRC stands for source. It is basically to reference it to a external source. Now that we have come across this SRC, I'll tell you one interesting thing about SRC. Uh, SRC, what it will do is, SRC will help you add the external JavaScript libraries, okay, or external CSS libraries and all that. Let's say there is a popular CDN, okay. There is a CDN, stands for distribution network. Again, there is something more to it. We'll come to that, what CDN is, and discuss about it. But for now, understand that this is a content delivery or distribution network. Okay, so here Now, very popular one of the CDN is CDN.js, which is basically for content delivery for the JavaScript, right? And it has got around 4,381 odd libraries are available for you to host. Now, suppose I want to use something called as Bootstrap. Okay, Bootstrap is a very popular front-end framework for CSS. Now, if I want to use this Bootstrap, there is a library called this bootstrap.min.library. I can just go ahead and copy this URL and then add this in my source. Just by doing this, I can include this JavaScript library into our HTML document. Okay, that can be done. That is the reason you also can utilize SRC attribute specifies the URI for the external script. If you have any external script that need to be utilized, you can just do it by using SRC. Again, there is also an attribute called sync and differ. We'll see how these boolean attributes help when we discuss about lot. It is more related to JavaScript rather than, because it talks about document object model, right? DOM. It's all about DOM. We'll see when we visit again JavaScript. All right. Now, this is again JavaScript alert is again it'll open a pop-up window if you add this, right? It's a very simple. What it will do is it will create a pop-up window. Like the moment I open this, it will create this pop-up window says I love Skillsam. This is being because of the alert box, alert function basically in JavaScript. All right. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and see uh, what is next in line. We have is a link. Again, link is another very often used HTML tag, and this HTML tag is always added in the head tag of the HTML. Okay. Now, is the use of this link tag? Link is for linking the external resources. As simple as that. So, what are those external resources? External resources can be style sheets. Okay. So, what it does, specifies the relationship between the current document and the external source. Like, for example, you can most commonly use to link the style sheets and also favicons. Okay. Here the takeaway is favicon is a favorite icon, and style sheet is nothing but CSS, cascading style sheet files, and this is a favicon. Yeah, two things we need to understand here. So what is this favicon? Now, you just observe here what you see logo here, right? This logo is what we say it as a favicon. In the same way, here there is a logo that you see, and here Google Meet also has got its favicon here. So these favicons can be added in the HTML using link tag. Like if you see here, let's say this. I'll copy this. Uh, Let me delete it. Okay. Now, if you observe link, it has got a hypertext reference or href where you will give the path of it, and then there is a shortcut. There is a relationship. How is this link related to this document? It is basically an icon that is shortcut created, and the type of the document that is embedded here, it is an image. Okay. Now, let's say, let me pull the favicon here. I'll take the source. Um, or let's say link. Okay, let me pull this one for you. Let me add this. So what I'm trying to add here, I'm trying to add a favicon. So link tag with the name favicon. I can give any name, that doesn't matter. It just represents what this tag is about. Type, and what's important here is href. Href is the exact reference or the location of that image, that is a .png file. And how is this relationship to this external document? Because link tag is always linking the present document, which is index.html, and the external document, which is this png file. Now, how is this relationship between these two? The relationship is of an icon. It is an icon that we are trying to add inside the HTML file. Now, the moment I run this, you can see there is a favicon that is being added here. Why is this being added here? Because of this link tag. One important thing about the link tag is it does not have a closing tag. It is a self closing tag. That is the reason you have a link open tag here, and that is what it will end, front slash close. That's it. You doesn't have a closing tag like for other elements, right? You don't have something like this. ಇದು ಇಲ್ರಿ. This is not there. Okay? So link tag is always a self-closing tag, that or also known as an empty tag. All right, and that is how you are going to add a favicon, favorite icon. Now, what else you can do in link tag? You can also add a style sheet. Okay, so now what are these style sheets? Style sheets always have an extension called .css. Okay, this is a cascading style sheet. Again, there are other advanced style sheets that we can talk about. Okay, LESS and other things, but that we will keep it aside for now. For the ease of understanding, just consider that it is cascading style sheet with an extension of a file called CSS. Now link href and you give the file name or the location of the file, which is style.css. What is the relationship between the current HTML file and this document? It is a style sheet. And title, you can give any title if you want, depending on what the purpose of this file is. Okay, I've just given as a style. For main, you have given a main, and for custom, given a custom. Need not be the same. You can give the title something more descriptive. Style can be styling of a sheet for the front end page. Maybe you can give that as a title. That's fine, which gives more details about the this file being added here. Okay, make sense, guys?
Sir.
Sir,
Okay, good. So those are the very basic, what we call it as HTML tags. Okay, these are the very basic tags, that is heading tag, paragraph tag, how to comment an HTML, line break, which is represented by BR tag, horizontal rule, which is by a HR tag. Then there is a style attribute, which is different from a style element. And then there is a division tag, there is a span tag, anchor tag, which is represented by a tag, which is used for hyperlinks, and script tag to add the JavaScript files, and link tag to add external CSS files, or you can also add a favicon icon using the link tag. So very often you might be asked in an interview, how do you add a favicon in a HTML file? Then your answer should be using the link tag, provided you will give the href where and also the relationship attribute. Now just understand here one important thing. LINK. The moment I type it, there are two attributes that are mandatory for a link tag. One is relationship and second is href. That is the reason these are by default added by emit abbreviation. If I add just this, there are two attributes that are added by default. So the link has got two attributes by default. One is relationship, or what kind of a document is this in relation to the current document, and then there is a href, which is hypertext reference, which gives you the path or the location of that file. All right, now with that being said, let's jump on to an important aspect, is class and ID. These are very often used, and at most every website has got this class and attribute ID. These are the global attributes. Okay, these are the widespread, most popular global attributes you can find in the world wide web. Okay, which is a class or ID. Now let's say, what these are. Okay, let's understand them very interestingly. Suppose that I have a web page where there are, suppose there are three paragraphs. Okay, I have added three paragraphs, and each paragraph has containing certain text. Okay, let's say hello, then I say what's happening, and then goodbye. Let's see. These are the three paragraphs that have been added, and each paragraph has contained certain text. Now, I want to style a particular paragraph. Okay, so in order to style a particular paragraph, I use what? There is a what tag I need to use, guys, for styling an HTML element?
Style.
Yeah, style tag. Absolutely. Style tag I want to use. Suppose I want to use P, which is style for a paragraph element. Let's say. And now I want to change the color of the font. Color, let's say I want to make that as coral. Okay, coral is a color by default. There are almost around 49 colors that you can give by these names. Okay, like coral, indigo, teal, red, white, black. All these are just by giving the names you can give the color. Now let's see this output. So what is happening here? There is three paragraph contents have been posted onto the web page, and all these paragraphs have a font color as coral. Now I want to only change a paragraph. Hello. How do I do that? For that, what I need is either a class or a identifier, which is called as ID. That is the reason when you have multiple elements with the same elements, and if you want to style them or use them in your JavaScript to modify the content or elaborate the content, that is when we need a class or an identification. It is something like there are 500 students, there are suppose 500 students in BEC who are studying in the final year, but I need to select a certain number of people who are above certain percentage. So I will define a class like a first class and distinction students. Okay, that is a class. Okay, out of those many students, these are the group of students that belong to this class. Now, in particularly, identifier is unique. In particularly, what I want to say is out of those 500 students, there is only one Prajwal with a certain there is only one student with a unique university identification number, okay, or USN number. So every student has a unique identification number or a university number, and those unique identification is nothing but the ID. I'm just trying to give an analogy here. Out of those 500 students, there are certain group of students which can be put into a certain class. Okay, class is like a logical grouping of the students. Okay, and then there is an identifier which is nothing but a university identification number, which is a very unique to each student. In the same way, the class attribute can be used to logically group a certain elements into one group, which is called as a class. We can give a class name. All right. And then there is a identifier, which is represented by an ID tag, where it needs to be unique. There is no duplication allowed for an identification. That is the difference between class and ID. Now, what will happen here? Let's say I want to change the very wherever there is a the very first paragraph, I can name it as class greet. Why greet? Because class, the paragraph 1 and paragraph Three are greeting, like hello and goodbye. These are greeting. So I can group them together under a class called greet. But this can have a unique identifier naming para1, and this can also have a unique identifier called para2, and this can also have a unique identifier called para3. So now understand that ID is always written first, that is a proper naming convention, and then followed by a class. So here the ID is paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. All these are IDs and they are unique and they are not duplicate IDs that are created. But if you see the paragraph class are different. Now class is what I am giving the class as greet is greeting. So hello is a greeting, goodbye is a greeting. Okay, so I have grouped them into a similar class, whereas for this class I can name it as um, maybe message. Let's say this is a message class. Now if I want to style this, things would be very different now. So what will happen is, instead of this, I can go ahead. Whenever I reference a class, I need to reference by dot class name. Okay, dot class name, and then say color is indigo. So for greet class, which is this message and this message, I am changing the color to indigo. Whereas for the identifier, which is always represented by hash, hash is for identifier, hash para 2, then I am going to change color is equal to, let's say, teal. Now if I go ahead and see the output, now can anyone tell me what is the color of these three paragraphs? Now can anyone tell me the output, guys?
Para 1 and 3 indigo color, sir, and para 2 will be teal color.
Exactly, exactly, super. Yaar Reza?
Viresh,
Viresh, good Viresh, good. So now if you see here, that is what is happening. The first and the last are changed to indigo color, and the middle one is changed to teal color. That is the usage. Now just understand the logical difference here. The classes are grouped logically based on the message that they hold, that is greet. Okay, and there are many ways you can group the classes. Like usually what happens is, suppose you have created a header. Now header related all the classes can be put together in a header. Okay, you can make the class as a head or headings or something like that. And for body or one section where you have a blog section, you want to name the class as blog, because it is logically all the elements that belongs to the blog, we want to put that class as a blog. Okay, or if you want to make hyperlinks, wherever there is a hyperlink, I want to name that as a separate class known as links blog, something like that. Okay, so whenever I use that, only that class will be styled or modified depending on the selection. This is for class, it is always dot class name. For identifier, it is hash symbol followed by the identifier name. Again, we'll learn this during our CSS sessions more deeply, but just to differentiate between the class and the identifier, I am trying to give this message to you. All right, any questions in this, guys, about the class at I?
Yes, sir, I have questions, sir.
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, ash great open brace color dot indigo. Instead of ash para 2, we can use a dot message also. It can happen, sir.
Yes, yes, absolutely, it can happen. Let's do that. Dot,
Message.
yes, dot message can happen. You are right. You can use either a class or identifier to modify that. If you, even for that there is no change.
Yes.
Okay, you can do that as well. And even here you can also go ahead and modify an individual color as well. Like for example, para 3. Okay, suppose there is a para 3, I want to make this as a red. What will happen now is, even though grid is there, okay, so sorry, even though grid is there, which is trying to select the grid class, which is one paragraph 1 and paragraph 2, both are selected, it is changing to indigo. But when the css executes, right, it executes from top to bottom. So it starts from here, it will make the color indigo, then it will read this line which is class, this will be changed again, it will read this identifier where this particular paragraph will become red now. So the first will be indigo, the second para will be teal, and the third para will be red here now. So understood, guys?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, good. So there is a way that you can override as well, depending on the flow of the CSS. CSS always executes from top to bottom. So the first one, if there are conflicting of CSS, then that is the most latest one will override. That is the reason why CSS is called cascading. Cascading ಎದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇದು? There is a reason why this is called cascading. Cascading, you know, waterfall model is also known as cascading, right, in SDLC. So cascading is, you are flowing from top to bottom, and when you flow from top to bottom, the bottom will override the top one if they are conflict. That is the reason it is as CSS is a cascading style sheets. And again, we'll see how multiple style sheets can be added to a HTML, and how the most latest one will override the older one. So this is about class and ID, what you have learned so far. All right. With that, let's move ahead and understand. Again, there are some example, guys. You can go ahead and read the text about it. I have given a lot of details to you. And also, if you go to the HTML notes, right, there is a lot of neat description also given that will help you to reinforce your understanding more concrete. Okay. Next, what we see here is called list. List, as the name itself suggests, list ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ರಿ? List is something that if you want to go to some kirana store, you will also, you might have seen your father or a parents write down a sheet of paper and write down, okay, sugar 10 kgs, or this 4 kgs, this is 1 kg, half kg, per kg. So you have that list already created. Okay, that is all what we call it as shopping list. Some people might have already created a to-do list, like for this day, today I want to do this things. Okay, complete the project work, as a learn the internal assignment, and then go ahead and go and have a tea or coffee or whatever it is. Okay, there is also a to-do list. Okay, there is a shopping list, there is a to-do list, or a wish list. Some people want to do a wish list of traveling these many places before they die. Okay, that is something they have a travel list. So as humans, we always see a lot of lists being created in and around us. So in the same way, you can create lists in HTML as well. Okay, there are, let's say, there are some kinds of lists that we talk about here. One is called, let's say, one is called ordered list. Another is called unordered list. And then there is also something called as nested list, which is combination of that. Okay, nested list. Let's see one by one. What is known as ordered list? Ordered list is always represented by a tag called OL. As the name itself suggests, O stands for ordered, L stands for list. Ordered list is a OL tag, stands for ordered list. Okay, now this list will contain items inside them, and those are called list items, and they are represented by a tag called li. So there is a ordered list, and then there is a list items which are represented by li tag, list items. Now suppose ordered list, let me add let's say 3 items. Okay, this is how I can go ahead and add. Then there is unordered list, which can be represented by a tag called ul. Ul stands for unordered list. And this also, let's say I'll add three elements or the list items inside that. And then there can be a nested list, which is nothing but a ordered list or an unordered list containing what other ordered list or unordered list. Like for example, you have this, and then you can go ahead and add an unordered list inside it. Okay, so all this is a list within a list. That is called a nested list. Okay, like you have a, if you have seen any programming languages, right? You have a nested if statements, a if statement within a if statement, or nested if else statements. In the same way, there is a list and unordered list. Now let's say ordered list. Let me add something here. Let's say milk, then there is tea, then there is sugar. Now this is a ordered list. If I go ahead and see the output of this, what it contains milk, tea, and sugar. And one thing you need to observe is the numbering. And numbering is done because of what? It is an order. It is a numbering. There is an order to it. That is the reason you see a numbering on a ordered list. Whereas in an unordered list, like for example, mango, oranges, grapes. Now this is called unordered list. If you see, the unordered list does not contain numbering, it contains the bullet points. That is the reason this is called unordered list, and this is called ordered list, where there is a numbering given to it. And again, we can go ahead and modify this. Instead of 1 2 3, we can go ahead and change it to ABC. You can also change it to capital ABC or small ABC. All that can be done using CSS. Okay, but in HTML, by default, the ordered list will be 1 2 3, and unordered list will be round bullet points. Okay, and now here there will be a unordered list. We can go ahead and say step 1, we can say step 2, then you can say um, step 2.1, step 2.2, and then we can go ahead and add step 3 as well. Okay, now this is containing what? An unordered list within a ordered list. That is what you will see here. Here there is a numbering, and then there is a unordered list within it. Okay, this is called a nested list. Are you guys understanding this, how this ordered list and unordered list and nested list can be created?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so always remember, there are basically three major tags here. One is OL tag, another is UL tag, and then there is a LI tag, which is for the list items. Unordered list, ordered list, unordered list, and list items, LI. And list items is common for both the list types, that is ordered or unordered. All right, this is how you create in HTML ordered, unordered, and nested lists using these three major tags. Any questions, guys, so far in this?
No, sir.
Okay, good. So now, with that being said, let's go ahead and understand something called as description list. Okay, now description list is again another kind of list. Like you might have seen, a lot of you folks might have already seen what is known as dictionaries, right? So dictionaries, if you see, so how does a dictionary is structured? Dictionary or glossary. Now this is a entire thing, but if you see the book or a is this one, right? Or some, or maybe a glossary kind of thing. So if you see the glossaries or anything, if you see here, observe this one, observe this pattern here. So if you observe this pattern here, what it contains, there is a term of the glossary, and then there is an explanation of it. This is a structure that is followed, a description list, or we can use it as a dictionary, or it can be a glossary that can be representing using this list, where you have got a term, you have got a description, and this kind of a particular arrangement is called as a description list. Okay, that is what we can create that using what we call it as description list. Description list is a type of list that consists of terms and their corresponding descriptions. Okay, there are basically we are going to use three main tags here. Okay, three main tags in description. One is called a DL tag, which is representing the entire description list, and this description list DL tag will contain DT tag, which is representing the term, and then DD tag, which is representing the description. Now let's go ahead and see this example. Let me go ahead and create this. Okay, now with this, first is you need to create what is known as a DT, a description list, which is DL. The DL will contain what? A DL will contain a DT. DT is a description term. Like for example, let's say computer. Let's say I want to add this a computer, and then there is a DD, which will call as a electronic device, an electronic device for computation. Okay. Now this is what I'm trying to do. This is a term, and this is a description. In the same way, I can go ahead and add again another DT. Let's say Python, and then I'm going to add a DD to it, which is description definition. Okay. Now this can be a high level programming language. Now, if I go ahead and check the output, what you see, the output is like this. This is, it is kind of a dictionary kind of an arrangement, or what we call it as a glossary kind of an arrangement, where you have a term, description term, and then there is a description definition or DD tag, which we have here. There is a DL tag, which consists of description list. There is a DT, which is a description term, and then DD, which represents the description itself, which is description definition, we call it as. Okay, so this is how you create a description list, and the output would look something like this. Are you guys clear with the description list?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now all right guys, with this we'll make a stop here, and tomorrow again we'll regroup and start at 8 o'clock. We'll again continue with our learning, and meanwhile I would encourage you guys to please look at these notes and revisit them, and try to practice all these examples that have been added here in your Visual Studio Code. Okay, all right guys, thank you, and you guys have a good night, and see you tomorrow at 8 p.m.